Sweet. I think that we are now live. Yes. Awesome. All right. So we are officially live, right? We've taken it to YouTube Live, to Facebook Live. Hopefully we'll start to have a few more people funnel into the group. I'm assuming Lance, Jesse, there's a few others on the way. But to kind of make the explanation of what we do for Parker, or kind of what I do, Parker, I'm an investor. Obviously, we talked about that last night. I work mainly in the area of creative finance, all things creative finance, right? You name it, I can buy it on creative finance, right? You want to buy a car, great. I'll take that car from you. I'll take over the note, subject to, and take over the payments, right? You can use creative finance with anything. It doesn't really matter, right? And so what we do here is we bring deals, residential, multifamily, commercial, it doesn't matter, right? We bring deals in, we work them through, we talk about them, we talk about how to structure them. We help to, teach people about like the fundamentals of creative finance, which we're kind of just starting. We've got a Discord, a Facebook group. I don't know if I've gotten you into those things yet, but we will, right? And kind of what I requisition the Zoom invite for are people that are ready to take action, right? Mm-hmm. There's a lot of people that come into this group, as many will tell you, and they're like, yeah, I want to be involved in multifamily because it sounds sexy, but they don't want to do the work that it takes to get there. They don't want to contact the sellers that are off market and all of that. So much like what me and Alex were just discussing before we came on, I think Alex is saying it's time to take action. Is that kind of the gist of what I got, Alex, right? Like he's come to the conclusion it's time to take action. And I think he is going maybe after his first cash offer, if I'm correct about that. Again, I don't know.
That's correct.
Okay. So yeah, so he's looking at trying to do his first cash offer. And kind of what I showed to him, let me let these folks into the group real quick. So kind of what I showed to him, and I'm going to do a share screen here just to kind of show in general, like what I was showing him, or the kind of the ways that we all go about helping each other in the group. I've got a Google form that I have set up for folks like, Alex wants to do a cash deal. I am in the community what we call a unicorn agent. And I don't know if EXP has, done this with you or not, Parker, but, working with wholesalers for some reason with a lot of realtors seems to be like there's some stigma around it, right? I don't know what it is, but I love working with wholesalers, right? I love working with people who want to make cash offers. And I've got people, wholesalers that make, upwards of 30 cash offers a day. My broker also works with people, wholesalers. He's actually got a guy who's got 3 deals on the table, and he turned in 30 deals over the course of just the last few days, right? So what you do for me and what I've done and what I suggest to others that are sub twos, right? If you want to work with a wholesaler, somebody doing a cash offer, I generated this Google form. And what this Google form is, for people like Parker, all this does is pull all the information that I need from that deal into a Texas 1-to-4 family contract. So as soon as they go in and they fill all this out, and I tell the wholesaler, look, I don't need to talk to you. I don't need you to call me. I don't need any of that. You can send me an email. You can text me. You can call me if you want, but there's no necessity. Once you fill this out, it will automatically go into a Google Sheet. And from that Google Sheet, it will relegate and fill out a Texas 1-to-4 in a DocuSign for me. I go
Wow.
into that DocuSign, and I will stand it next to the MLS. It takes me about 2 minutes, and then I send it off to the agent. And so I can easily turn in 30, 40. I mean, I've had some people 40, 50, 60 cash offers in a day. And so these wholesalers will bring it to me. I become the agent on the deal. And when they assign the contract over to the buyer, I'm his agent, right? So that's how I work hand in hand with wholesalers. Now, one of the unique things that this offers me and helps me to do is for all of those deals that don't make, do you think that I just let those go to the wayside? Absolutely not. I go in and I start contacting all of those people that you sent to me. If I get back from the agent, we are not interested in that cash offer. Great. So then I call that agent and I'm like, hey, agent, and I bet you've just been getting a ton of these low cash offers on this house and you're not interested in it. And have you ever put any possible thought into creative finance? I might be able to work out an offer that works for the seller and works for me and you too. Let's talk about it, right? And of course, that's a dumbed down rendition of what I talked to the agent about, but I get on the phone and, just to put proof to it, I've got someone, Victoria is her name. She's an agent in this area that I'm talking to today about doing a seller finance on a $425,000 house that's been newly remodeled. The guy went through a divorce. His wife has first position lien on the house. He has second position with a HELOC. So the courts really did him in there, right? By giving her first position lien on the house. But what he's trying to do is to possibly refinance that out of her name, takes over it. We can go into, at that point, I can sub to the existing loan and then seller finance the rest to him and probably give him, I don't know, 10% down, something like that on the deal, right? Whatever ends up making sense in the numbers. But does everybody kind of see how that system works for me? I don't know if that's something that's helpful.
Yeah.
I think for you, William, you're an agent. I don't know. I don't know if this would be useful to you, to try to work with the folks that are wholesaling. But, when you get people in from the Elephant Challenge, which we do have coming up, right? Again, I want them to understand that, it's not just about multifamily. It's about residential too. And you can do creative finance on that stuff too. And how do we help them, right? Well, 100%, you better believe I'm going to tell them, like, start looking for cash deals. And much like Alex, I just told him, if you're not sure about your numbers or whatever, feel free to give me a call and we'll work the numbers really fast. I'll make sure that you're at least in the correct ballpark on the numbers. I can do that in about 10 minutes on anything really. And, that way you can turn in the deals and it's a win-win. It's you get your wholesale fee, I get my 3%, and it's a win-win. We all move down the road, right? But the numbers have to be right. And if those wholesalers aren't bringing the right numbers, you'll find out really fast, right? Because nobody's contacting you back about any of the deals, or like they get a deal and then the buyer doesn't come to the table or whatever it may be, right? But anyways, I thought this up. I use Zapier between the Google form and the Google Sheet, and then from the Google Sheet over to DocuSign. Hopefully that's useful information to everyone. I have found that it helps me to work with wholesalers. So let's also talk about what me and Justin kind of talked about today. So like we are trying, obviously, guys, to kind of restructure things to where the group works better for everybody, right? And I think like getting it out to the masses is the best way to do it. But of course, we want to keep our Zoom group tight knit, right? And we only want to bring in people that are action takers, right? If you're not an action taker, like, what's the point of bringing you into the Zoom? Because you're just going to sit there like a fly on the wall, right? And where that applies is when we take it out to the YouTube audience, what we can do is field questions from YouTube, and I'm still learning this, right? This is all new to me. But you guys can kind of see this. We've used Restream to connect YouTube, Facebook Live, and hopefully start to, like build an audience. I'm going to need everybody's help on this, where we put these out and like you guys put it out to your network and Instagram and Facebook, right? And start to build up that audience. And what my hope is that we can bring people into like YouTube Live and Facebook Live and have them ask us questions. How do you get better at your craft? Field people's questions, right? Hone your sword, make it better, give a platform to people to bring deals to the table. We're happy to JV with them on it, right? And yeah, we just build out a solid group of people. So I need help with this. I can't do it all on my own. So any help with this is fantastic. I did kind of put together today the Facebook group. Everybody can see. Oh my goodness. If everybody can see, I don't know if everybody got connected here. Was everybody able to get connected here, or did everybody get this link by chance for the Facebook group?
Oh, I'm in there.
Like Matt, are you in there? Friedfeld?
Yeah, I'm in there. I got it.
Awesome. Juan, did you make it into the group?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think I did, but I'll get in it.
Yeah, definitely, William. And look, invite everyone you know to become a member of the group, because this is another place where we as a group can interact with people as we bring them in, right? And then lastly, I'm putting together a Discord. I think Violet has offered, thank goodness, she's fantastic, to help with some of this stuff. But we want to structure it out kind of. We looked at a few different groups, like the Elephant All-Stars and another group and another group. And we're going to kind of put together a Discord structure that we feels like maybe takes the best of all of those groups, where we as a group can kind of be interconnected, bring people in from the Elephant Challenge, all of that good stuff, right? So anyways, I don't know how everybody feels about that, but that was my thought, trying to get it out to the masses and help people like Parker to come in and understand creative finance a little bit better. And then Justin, are you available, Justin? Can you talk for a second? Hopefully, Justin.
I am. I have bad service where I am, but I'm
okay,
here.
no problem. So just so everybody is cognizant, me and Justin, as well as Lance and Jesse, all talked about deal structure today. And kind of what we've come to the conclusion, right? There was this, I think there was this initial want, this initial worry that maybe we lost Parker. I don't know. Anyways, but maybe there was this initial worry. Hey, Parker, are you still there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can, but you're like not in my feed. But okay, no, never mind. So there was this. I think everybody was kind of wondering about like getting paid and things like that, right? So let me approach this and kind of help everybody to understand what my thought process is. And I don't, and then you can kind of understand what we're talking about and how we want to structure that stuff. But sometimes, so yesterday Pace and Vina Jetty had a meeting, right? And I was in that meeting and it was chocked full of value. I mean, Vina is unbelievable. She's forgotten more about multifamily than I'll ever know. And, as she was talking about these deals, she says, sometimes there's no skin in the game. Sometimes there's just not enough equity in the deal, right? For 6 or 10 people or whatever it may be, right? Sometimes there's not even enough equity in the deal for the one person that brought it. And Vina's conjecture on, or the way she felt on that was that, do I want to get you paid? Sure. But do I need you? No. She's like, I've got all of the broker contacts. I've got all of the contacts that are necessary to make this deal happen. Now, I think as a group, we have quite a bit of contact and we can get deals done and all of that. Yes. But let's be honest, as you get better at this, there will be deals that come that may just be out of our wheelhouse. And we have to bring in somebody like Pace or Vina. And the way that I feel about it is, if I don't make a dime on that deal, I'm okay as long as I have something that states that I've got ownership in the deal. Because the reality is that if I've got ownership in some shape, form, or fashion, right, even if it's 0.02%, I mean, I don't care. I'm able to build my resume, and on the next deal, hey, I'm already involved in a 69 unit deal in Nassau Bay. Here's the financials. Here are my partners. You've got proof, right, to put on your resume. And so for me, I am not greedy. I am here to help others. I am an absolute go-giver. I have said that before. If on this Nassau deal, we came into it and I didn't make a dime, I would still be okay with that. I would still asset manage that property. As long as I'm not having to put my own money into it, right? But if all of the, investors and whatever in the deal are handling all of that, and they just want me to be boots on the ground to check on the property, I'm good with that because I'll have a stake in the deal, right? So that being stated, I think that the best way to handle it is like, if you find the deal, for sure. If you're the one bringing the deal to the table, oh my God, yeah, you've obviously got a stake in the deal, right? If I'm the one that's structuring the entire deal, working on the creative finance, well, I feel like I definitely have a stake in it. So, doing the napkin underwrite, doing the deep underwrite, I think that, but I think if we're all playing our part, we're just going to have to realize that each deal will bring varying amounts of cash flow or equity or whatever it may be, right? And so again, I hope that with our group, that it never becomes about greed, and it always is about learning and growing. And that way, when you're JVing or you're going out with people that you find, you're able to do those deals easier and easier and easier. And you build out your network and private money lenders and hard money lenders and all of the people that you need to make a business run, right? Assuredly, Pace does not do it on his own. That's for sure, right? So that being said, I don't know if that shines any light on it or not, but I just think in terms of the money, like, let's just be realistic. That's all that I'm saying, right? On this 69 unit deal, Justin brought the deal. It is inherently Justin's deal. He brought the deal. I'm helping to structure it, and I don't know what other involvement we are going to need or not need in it yet, right? I think once we structure the deal, then we'll kind of have a better understanding. I do think between me and Justin, we are looking at formulating an email and an LOI. We are at that point on the deal. So I am going to actively start to work up how we put this thing together and get it into an email and get it over to the broker. And then it will become about looking for investors, right? For whatever the down payment or, whatever the parameters of this deal end up being. But everybody will get to see that all take place, which is massive value, right? I mean, understanding the inner workings of deals like this is, man, I'm learning every day. It's stuff as much as I know, I learn new things every day. So hopefully everybody's good with that. All right. So then the next thing was Lance and Jesse had a 16 unit deal that they wanted to bring to the table. I'm going to stop sharing. Do Lance and Jesse have shoddy internet connections, but do you guys think that you could do a screen share and get the deal either up on the screen, or could we possibly I don't know, send it to me and we could get it up?
Yeah, I will. I'll email it to you just in case.
Okay.
But I have it up right now. So let me go to the screen share. Can you allow me to screen share? There we go. Perfect.
Yep.
Okay. There we go. You see it now?
Not quite yet.
Okay.
Oh, now try it. Now try it.
Thank you. So actually, let me get this. I don't think that this is applicable, right? So I'm going to push that off to the side. So I've played with numbers a few times. I know that owners to creative. The agent said that he wants larger down payment, and he's probably the agent wants larger down price with that. He's probably.
Oops. Okay.
My thought process is it made sense, and then it hasn't made sense a couple of times when I've changed the numbers. I think that the only way it makes sense now is if the money lender.
Oh my goodness. Lance and Jesse's internet connection
Are we back? Let's see.
is crazy.
guys hear us?
I'm convinced that you guys and Cody Barton have the same internet provider.
Are we back? Can you see the
So I can hear you guys, but I can't see the screen share yet.
Okay, so I'm going to email it real quick,
Okay.
if you don't mind, and then
Yeah.
we will stay.
Yeah, for sure. Email it over. And then what I'll do is I'll screen share it from mine.
So my thought process is that the only way that we'll really cross is if private money lenders either refinance at that point or
Hey, Alex, quick question. Did you just email that over to me? Is this you?
should
This-
be.
Did
this-
email it to you earlier,
Okay,
kind of when we
this-
were talking.
it's this Royal Lane location?
Correct.
Okay, perfect. I got it, man. I
Okay.
will go in there and hammer that thing out and send it over.
The offer came in though from an agent and just telling me what the seller wants. So that's what I just put in. I didn't put in my offer.
Okay. Okay, let me screen share here. Okay, so Jesse, okay, walk me through what I'm looking at now.
Can you hear me?
Yep. And can everybody see it now?
Yeah, it looks good.
Do I need to blow it up at all or a little bit better?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay.
So it's basically just the second row. The first row is just kind of the price it's at, what it looks like, some of the CapEx expenses. The second row is really what would work best for us. So you'll notice that the annual income, the rents have been upped, I think $200 in this one.
When were those rents upped?
What?
When were the rents upped?
They haven't been upped in a while. I mean, it's a complete value add.
Okay.
And it needs to be rehabbed. So
So, but as you look at the current rent roll, where are the rents at? Are they at market value already, or are they still below market value?
they're a little below market value.
Okay.
So there's 4 units. There's 5 units vacant right now. Well, 4 units are vacant and one's occupied by the owner. So there would be 5 that you'd be able to get in right away, rehab and rent out for hire. And
Okay.
then as you turn over the rest of the tenants
Increase the rents.
and increase the rents, then, you know, the other 11 units would get fixed up at that time. I believe that there's no rubs either. And I don't know if
Mhm.
adding those back is common for the area. I
Yeah.
have the
Okay. And so let's look at the expenses on this place. So is this annual? $12,000 annually?
yes.
Okay.
And right now he's managing it himself. So the management, and he's not doing any marketing and there's no office admin. So those are numbers that I put in just to make sure that there was something in there.
So he's paying himself to manage.
Sure.
Okay. So he's taking $12,000 a year to manage it himself.
Put that in.
I think I plugged that in myself. I don't even know if he's taking any money. I
Okay.
think it's just the cash flow.
Definitely mom and pop brand joint.
Yeah, and I know he bought it for like 150,000 like 7 or 8 years ago. So I'm pretty sure it's paid off by now. If not, very little is owed.
So his vacancy rate is 15, so he's at 75% occupancy.
He is less than that. That's the average for Odessa. So right now,
So is he, do you
probably
know if
close
he's
to
doing like, he's only got a $1,200 a year marketing budget? I mean, that's partially the reason. I would definitely say that you would want to probably climb that vacancy, right? Or that occupancy sum. And to do
Yeah.
that, you would have to increase that marketing budget.
yes.
You're definitely going to end up having to pay a management company on this.
Yep.
Pressure washing expense. So is he billing all of the utilities back to the renters, or are the renters just paying it? It's all individually metered?
I believe the electric is, I looked at this earlier, brain fog. Let me get back to you on that.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to know what the utilities look like. Is there parking? Have you guys looked at
Yeah.
like maybe a charge for parking?
I haven't, there is parking.
I'd also like to know about pet deposits. If he's, taking those. Trying to think of anything else. Justin, can you think of anything else in this? Other questions?
I mean, I think my major feedback on this is that you really want to have a true seller's current column here. I mean, you mentioned that you added in the management fee, but you're not sure if you think that he's just self-managing and actually not paying himself. So I would take out that $12,000 and zero it out.
Okay.
I would make sure that all your expenses are what is on the T12. Because what you really want to do is you want to look at what this thing is currently operating at versus what you think you can bring it to.
Okay.
Because that by adding your 12,000 in, you're skewing your cap, your cap rate and your NOI, and really not taking a true snapshot of how this thing is currently performing. Yeah, so that would be my main suggestion on cleaning this thing up a bit. And I think, I gave you some feedback in email about the CapEx expenditure. You had, yeah, no problem. You had $5,000 in per unit. I believe isn't that what you had?
Yes.
Okay. But what you're saying, there's a few units that are already updated. Is that correct?
They still, so the deal deck says that they've been updated recently, but the photos show me they all need it.
Okay, gotcha. So there might be some that you don't have to spend $5,000 on. I mean,
Yeah.
But the rough ones, the ones that need a full gut remodel, you'll spend $5,000 easily. And then I would suggest to have some money in there for landscaping and safety upgrades and lighting and just to make sure, because what you want to do is you want to come in that first year. The first thing you do is you make those safety upgrades. You make the building beautiful, and you're basically saying to your tenants, look, I care about you guys. I want you to have a safe place to live. And because of that, they're not going to be as they're not going to object as much to you raising the rents. They're going to say, okay, I love what they're doing with this place. I really feel a lot safer now. I feel a sense of community, and I'm willing to pay a little bit more for rent because of that, right? So I think just accounting for those things, The other thing that I mentioned in the email, but I'd like to just speak to the group, is that Jesse and Lance said that this 16 unit building is two buildings in itself
Mhm.
that I believe are separated. And even if this deal wasn't a good deal, one thing to always keep in mind is something called repositioning, which is basically seeing if the zoning will allow you to split the unit in the apartment building, the 16 unit apartment building, into two separate buildings, two separate properties. And you can do all the the capex work, the fixing up of the units, and within the first year you can sell both of those units and make a pretty good profit off of it. I mean, you're essentially you could come close to doubling your money in the first year. So that's always something to keep in mind when you're looking at these buildings. It does take some work to look into the zoning laws and seeing if it's possible. But it would be worth looking into for you guys. The other things I felt looked good. I do think the cash flow is not great on this unit, and so I would if I were you, I would be looking for a better offer price,
Okay.
or a
Yeah, I was actually going to mention that as well.
Okay.
and really, so this is part of the issue that I ran into with the Nassau Bay unit, is that, or the Bay property, is that this guy's been self-managing, and so he has no budget for hardly anything in there. He doesn't have a management budget, he doesn't have a asset management budget, he doesn't have a marketing budget. All of his expenses are low and not to the rule of thumb, and that's really affecting the asking price, right? Because a lower amounts of expenses means a higher NOI, which is skewing their offer price, or their asking price rather. So that's definitely something to keep in mind here, is that your cap rate that they're showing is probably skewed, and that's really why you want to have the sellers versus your assumptions, right? So those are the major points of feedback I would give here.
So let's talk a little bit about, so obviously we've got all of that to touch on, which I think you guys can do the due diligence on there, but let's talk about maybe the structure of the deal. So yeah, I think if I remember correctly, there's a current loan on it, right?
If there is, it's very small.
Okay. And apparently this owner is open to creative financing.
Yes.
Okay. So, I mean, I guess I'm not sure what the owner is trying to attain. Do we know, like,
So
exit, he's old, tired, doesn't want to do it anymore?
yeah, his pain point basically is that he wants to stop, landlording for this and have enough money to move a little bit further south to be closer to his grandkids and just basically retire.
So I guess like what that indicates to me is he's gonna want some kind of a down payment, but what does that look like? I would obviously, if we sub to the loan and then we seller finance, and then, maybe kind of run that. I don't know, like this one it's almost better if he were to, just because of where I think the price lies. I mean, it's almost better if he just seller financed the rest and took it over the long term, because he won't have to pay capital gains tax on it, right? But the problem is if we can convince him to come out without a down payment, or I don't know, if we can get the down payment low enough and maybe do like a split, like, half the first year, half the second, that type thing.
Okay.
I have an idea. What if you were to try to find him a sub 2 house wherever he wants to move?
We could do that too. Yeah.
I did think about that, and I will say that the agent is super open. he's open to having almost any conversation with the buyer once we have our offer structured
Okay.
and some sort of proof of funds, even if it's a really small,
Yeah, I'm not worried about the proof of funds. We can get that.
Yeah, I'm not either, but he was
Yeah.
like, he's told me yesterday, he's like, look, I'll talk to him about anything you want once all your ducks are in a row. He said, but I'm not talking to him about anything before we have, you know, an actual offer to bring him. I don't want to keep poking at him. Will you take this? Will you take that?
So why don't we go back and get kind of this missing information, see if we can't fill in the gaps a little bit better. And then, you know, I think, you know, Justin, if they can get that stuff, then it's probably worth a napkin underwrite, right?
Okay,
But we do, I mean, everything that Justin stated there is, yeah, 100%. Because as I look at the expenses, I see the same thing, right? I think that they're seriously undervaluing the expenses, and then you're skewing it with the management. And so, yeah, if we can get those things corrected,
okay,
I think then we could get into a place where, you know, we could do a napkin underwrite on it. And if it makes sense, then, you know, we can take it to a deep underwrite. And then, you know, if that makes sense still, then, you know, we'll structure a deal and send it over.
okay. Yeah, absolutely. And I can tighten up on that. And I pulled up the T12 in my phone. So every unit is on separate electric, but it's the water, sewer, gas, and trash that he's paying for. So I can even separate some of those and maybe add to this.
Yeah.
Make it a little bit more detailed.
Yeah. I would like to see all of those things. I'm pretty sure Justin would too.
Yeah, and I would say you should look at other rentals in the area to see if they do any sort of utility bill backs, any RUBS programs,
Okay.
because that does make a big difference. It's you know, it can really, it would basically cover the fact that there's no management here, you know, per year. It would cover the cost of management, close to it at least.
Cool.
Yeah.
So, all right. So get those things, Jesse Lance, and then on our next, I think, you know, let's bring it to the table and see what we have at that point. And then if it quantitates, you know, doing a napkin underwrite, which I think it will. I mean, I think you're definitely in the realm of a possible legitimate deal. It's just we got to find out a little more info first, right? But I guess like let me then kind of move and maybe finalize like any questions. I know like Parker's new to the group. Parker just got introduced to Pace Morby last night. Went and watched some videos, said he saw him on Bigger Pockets. And so he's, I think, probably pretty jazzed to ask some questions. So anything for anybody else that falls into the creative finance realm that we can try to answer?
I also last week Juan brought a deal which
right.
I think he sent you some information as well as me. If he has gotten further along with that, maybe we can discuss that, or maybe you can offer the group some insight into a mixed or a hybrid portfolio of single family, multifamily, and mobile home park.
Yeah. So me and Juan talked, I wouldn't say great length, but we did visit a conversation about that. I find it interesting. It's an interesting deal for sure. I think that there's still some information that Juan is looking for on that. Am I correct, Juan?
Yeah, that's right. And once we get that information, then the next step would be to set up a conference call.
Yeah. And I do believe I saw that as 1.1. I'd probably like to go in. I think what I'd really like to see is like a list of all the assets
Mhm.
And then we could go in and, you know, individually price those assets and get an idea for what they all are, and then look at that in comparison to the bundle. Right? Because I know when they bundle deals like that, they like to price them up a little bit. And then obviously we're going to need like T12s on that thing. And we're going to have to start this kind of the same process on that and see if it's, you
They
know,
also-
if it makes sense.
They also like to package some duds in there too, if you
Yeah.
can. So definitely want to look out for that.
Right.
Yeah, and I'm interested how I'm 100%. I would tell you that this owner knows that it's going to have to be creative finance because of the mobile homes,
Mm.
because it's chattel and they can't loan those in a typical way. So, you know, I would already, you know, grab to believe that he's in for a, you know, a creative deal. But I think it's where we land with this deal. That's the big one. I'm not sure, because sometimes I find when they bundle them like this, they want more, like way more than what they're worth. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because they almost
Right.
feel like they're doing you a favor.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think another thing that probably would help, and I don't know if the group kind of agrees, but you know, we have the different roles, right, that everybody's going to kind of fit into. I think it'd be wise to see if we can get some sort of maybe just a generalized script or something for us to get trained on those specific roles, so we know what to ask for, and that way we're trying to reduce the amount of time we're wasting. You know, trying to go back and forth in communication. So for instance, for me, right, I'm looking at it from a perspective of it was probably going to be used in the acquisition side, just because that's where I feel the most comfortable and I really enjoy talking to sellers and negotiating. So, you know, for me, it's like, what, you know, I want to kind of just get together and maybe I can work on it. That's fine. I can work on creating some sort of like template that says, okay, guys, if you're working in the acquisition side, these are the things you're going to be asking for, and then followed by, you know, setting up a conference call. So we have things that are streamlined in every role. And I think, you know, again, because since we're new, right, we're all trying to find out what each other's superpower is. But I think we starting to streamline our roles and the things to ask for. I think we're going to get better and better, and we're going to work together better too.
Man, I'm 100% on board with that. And if you wouldn't mind taking that on, I
Sure.
think that would be fantastic, man.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah.
I'll get going with this one. You know, I'll start documenting some of the things that, you know, I've been asking for and things like that. So at least we know from the acquisition side what to look for. The other one that I'm just going to bring up now, and we don't have to talk about it now, but we can talk about it maybe later or another Zoom, is I got a message from from someone in Discord reaching out, several PML potential deals here that we can gator on. So I know we were talking about doing that. So I'll just put that in the chat, and then we can discuss it later or whenever possible.
Okay. Yeah, let me why don't you ping me and Alex on that one?
Okay.
One, because I think probably keep that between the gators, right?
Right, exactly.
And, so yeah, me, Alex, and you on that.
We've got access to funds too.
I'm a gator too, if you need another one in there.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Lance was too.
Whoever
There's a
the
couple
gators are.
gators in here actually.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
I think even Lance and
Mhm.
Yeah.
Justin.
So
Yeah, Justin.
if you're a gator, throw that into the chat, and then that way Juan will know who you are. And we can all kind of get together and start to work those deals together. I mean, I think that makes a ton of sense. And then, yeah, so is that everything, Juan, that you can think of?
Yeah, that's what I got.
Okay, cool, man. Yeah, if you can work on that, the roles or whatever, man, fantastic. I'm like inundated with trying to
Right.
like get this out to the world and like start that process so that we can really be. My hope is that, guys, you know, like we're really set for this next elephant challenge, and that everything is structured in the way that we want it to, so that we can effectively use some of those folks to go out and look for deals and all of that. I am also making contact. It's been a slow process, I think, because of the holidays, and also trying to get a hold of Pace, but like I'm trying to reach out in terms of the VA. I already talked to Dawn Walker and she pointed me in the direction of someone. So I am working on that. I promise. And so outside of that, I think like if you're new, Parker, like I'm sure you got questions, man. So now is the time to ask. You've got a room full of sub-2 gator lenders, private money. You got all kinds of people in the room, right?
Yeah. How specific can I like how specific can I get?
As specific as you want to get.
Okay, well, I'll start. So what's a T12 or a T2? I caught that a couple times. I'm not sure what that is.
Yeah, Justin, you want to answer?
Yeah, it's a trailing 12 or a trailing 2, which is the last 12 months of expenditures and income from a property. And T12 or T2 or T3, T6, you know, the numbers just indicate the number of months that the expenditures and income encapsulates. And that gives you a really good snapshot of how a property is performing. And commercial properties are all valuated based off of their expenses versus its income. And that gives you your net operating income. And there's a formula to then get your cap rate. But the beauty of multifamily and commercial real estate is that you can force appreciation by lowering expenses and increasing income. It's not like single family where it's all based off of comps of the neighborhood and what's sold recently and so on. You do get into comps with rentals in the area, just knowing how much you're able to get at market rents. But so the T12 is most of everything you need to analyze a property. The other thing you really need is the rent roll, and the rent roll breaks down how the amount of units and what those units are generating in income from a rent perspective, and then also other income like pet rents, parking, valet trash, what they're maybe bringing in with utility bill backs and so on.
Excellent. Oh my gosh, thank you. So well, that's something that commercial properties pretty on hand pretty readily once they're preparing to, like, a seller will need that.
Yeah. Hey, Damon, you're still. Oh, there you go. I was going to say you're still sharing.
Yeah. You go ahead, man.
Okay. Generally, yes. If the property is going, if the property has a good operator, they're going to have that information. Where you do run into the problem sometimes is if you're going, you're trying to generate leads from people who maybe want to sell but haven't really thought about it or gone into the motions of selling. An owner operator mom and pop shop might not have the best record keeping, but those can be some of the best deals you can find too, because they don't necessarily know how to evaluate the property and might be willing to sell it for less, and you have a better chance of walking away with a good deal. They can be, if you're not able to get all that information, it can be a higher risk, right? Because you don't know, let's say they just have a messy accounting and you're not able to capture all of their expenses, then it's going to throw off your net operating income. And if there's something major that's not disclosed,
Yeah.
then it can be more of a risk. But it's a higher, higher reward. So, but anything on market will have that you're finding through a broker will have all that information. They'll have the T12, the rent roll, and what's also something called an OM, which is the operating memorandum, which is basically a marketing packet with a lot of the pertinent info in there as well. So they'll have pictures of the property, they'll have all the amenities the property has, they'll have the surrounding areas, they'll have information on demographics and income and a whole lot of different things.
Okay.
So those are the three things that you really want to ask for when trying to get, to analyze a commercial property.
Okay.
And let's talk to Parker about going after those properties. Since you're new, right, the whole group can speak to you about how you go look for those properties. So we're looking for, we have a buy box, which I believe, right, Justin, we came up with.
Yeah, we have a multifamily buy box. Yes.
Yeah, so like I think it was 25 to 150, or was it 50 to 150?
I think it was,
I have it written down as 50 to 150 in the B neighborhood, in the Class B neighborhood.
so I can just rattle it off. We're looking for, in general, and this is our ideal property. We can go outside these boundaries, but 1980. Built in 1980 or newer, but not too new. So 1980 to maybe 2000s. We're looking for, 50 to 150 units. We could maybe go down to 20 units. We're looking for a rental mix, or a unit mix of two bedrooms to every one bedroom. That's ideal. In a B or C, it's a B or C grade property in a or B grade neighborhood with value add opportunities. So we were talking about raising, the ability to raise market rents, or units that need to be updated, or no utility bill backs in place. Those are really the major ones. And then there's other things that are smaller that you can really drive your income. And yeah, I mean, location, you want to be in a metro area or within a secondary market or a tertiary market. Houston and its surrounding areas, or a suburb that feeds into Houston. Those are, I think those are all the points that I had on there, but we can email the buy box to you as well.
That would be phenomenal. I wrote that all down, but I would love it. Have it.
Yeah, and generally speaking, Violet here in the group, she will write that. She'll write that down and put it out. Hopefully, Violet, to the entire group. Can you possibly do that? Were you able to get all that?
Yeah, I'll transcribe it and I'll put it in the Facebook group under the files.
Beautiful. Yeah. So Violet's amazing, man. We appreciate you, Violet. Thank you. And then, yeah, so
thank you, Violet.
So then outside of that, right, Parker, so all of those things listed. And then we are looking for sellers that are, apt to do creative deals, right? We're trying to get in and seller finance up to, whatever way we can structure that deal to make it advantageous to get into. Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes sense. Because from what I understand, that's kind of the focus of this kind of strategy, correct? Is
Yeah.
it the creative financing?
Correct. Yeah, correct. So
That's,
sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, that's the most ideal way to approach it for us. I mean, there are other ways, but ideally we're looking for creative finance if possible.
So I have a question.
Go
Sorry.
ahead. Sorry, Hazel. Go ahead.
So the process is, because I'm kind of confused on how we're submitting this. Are we submitting the 1 to 4 through the form that you had initially showed us? And then the multifamily, the larger deals, we're submitting it directly to you? How are we?
Well, so you're not necessarily bound. I would tell you on the residential deals, what I would say is to JV with a sub 2. First and foremost, me, Juan, William, any of the guys that are sub 2s in here. In terms of the residential stuff, we will all JV on deals with you.
Okay.
What I would tell you, if you want an easy process to turn it in, that process that I just showed with the Google form, you saw how quickly Alex did it. I think it maybe took Alex, 10 minutes, Alex, something like that to fill it out. And then he submits it. It comes to my email. It transfers over a Texas 1 to 4 family contract. And then you are, yes, you're wholesaling, but you become the buyer and I will represent you as the buyer, right? So me, the agent, I would make 3% whenever you assign that contract over to the buyer, whoever that is, right? So that's kind of how I get into the deals. I JV with people. I do all that. And I am assuming that any of the sub 2s that want to voice that in here, they are happy to let you know how you can JV with them. Juan, I believe, William, Matt Friedfeld is a sub 2. Lance and Jesse are sub 2. So this is what I would tell you.
Just to clarify, I'm not an official sub 2 student.
Okay, all right.
So I don't want to confuse anybody, but I'm learning like everybody else, but will be soon. So it's coming.
Yeah, so I definitely know for sure Juan Padilla is a sub 2. Lance and Jesse Regan are sub 2. Matt Friedfeld is sub 2. I am sub 2. And then of course you got Gators in here, and we will work with you. I will JV with you. Any of these guys that are sub 2s, they will JV with you. So what I would tell you is that if you come across a cash offer, you are welcome to turn it in my automated system. I will turn that in. Juan can help you with it. Lance and Jesse can help. Any of these guys can help you. And that is what I would tell you. First and foremost, reach out and we will help you to structure those deals and get them turned in, right?
Did I miss the link?
I always tell people on their first cash deal, probably their first 3 or 4 cash deals, it's really good to JV with somebody so that you fully understand the process. And you're going to need the contracts and all of the documents, title. There's things that you need to make that happen.
Okay. So it could be just an assignment rather than actually being the buyer. I mean, would you?
Well, so whenever you turn in a contract, so let's say you find an on-market deal and you call the realtor and you decide that you're going to turn in a purchase contract or a Texas 1 to 4. You become the buyer. However, that contract is assignable. So you can then assign that contract over to another buyer. However, here in Texas, you need to stay within your option period. And you better be really careful about staying within your option period, right? You will generally speaking, and again, I've seen people structure them in different ways where they give $10 for the option. And Of course, the earnest money or whatever, but you will have, generally speaking, 10 to 15-day option period. You want to stay within that. You want to terminate that contract if you do not find a buyer correctly, or else you're going to lose your earnest money. Make sense?
Yeah, so we kind of need to find our own list of buyers as well. Is that?
Yeah, and guys, sub twos in here, please feel free. I don't want to be the only one answering. You guys feel free to speak up. But yeah, these guys will all tell you it is easiest when you're first starting out to go look for your buyers. And that is, the first elephant challenge, if you kind of place it into the residential box, and then you take this other elephant challenge and you place it into the multifamily box. In the residential box, it is much easier to go out and find a buyer, who's buying properties in a general neighborhood that you're looking. You find out what their buy box is. 3.2, 4.2 with between 1,500 and 2,500 square feet, between 150 and $350,000. They're going to tell you exactly what they're looking for. We want them at 70% or 60% of the value of the home, whatever. And then you go at that point, boots to the ground, right? And you start looking for homes for these buyers in these areas. And I would say that is the easiest way to put those two pieces together when you're first starting. Find your buyers first. Find a good list of buyers. So here's what I'll tell you, Hazel. I'm going to give you homework. Are you ready?
Mhm.
I want you to go between now and the next meeting and find 10 potential buyers. It's your first order of business, right?
Mhm.
I want you to go and find 10 potential buyers. How do you do that?
I posted a deal on the creative finance and I got a crap load of buyers and I kind of screened through them. I think out of the 15 that responded, I got 2 in the Metroplex area that
I'm going to give you, I'm going to not to cut you off. I'm
Okay.
going to give you the easiest answer in the world. Are you ready?
Okay.
Google.
Okay.
Go to Google and look for people that are flipping homes, flipping houses. We buy houses in cash, right?
Mhm.
We buy homes. Go look for those people. You will find them. They are not hard to find. And you call them and you talk to them. Hey, I'm new and I am looking to try to bring great deals to buyers like yourself. And I'm ready to put my boots to the ground and find you guys some great deals. Could you possibly tell me what type of deals you're buying? And they'll tell you, they'll let you know. Go find you some buyers that you can work with. Now, the next question that I have to you is, do you know where you're looking? Do you have an area?
I'm starting with my area, but I'm learning that the area that I'm in with it's about 125,000 people. I just lost a deal, a cash buy deal, $5,000 less than what I was given the offer. He was going with the 30%, the 70-30 rule, and somebody came in $5,000 more and I lost it.
Okay. But you were close.
Yeah.
That's huge. You were close. So what area are you?
It's not actually closed. They're
Well, no,
not
I
in
said
closing
close.
yet. So
I said
yeah.
close. CLOSE. It was close. Yeah, you were very close. That's promising, right?
Mhm.
So let me ask you, what area are you buying in?
So I would probably, the assignment side, I would probably work in the Dallas Metroplex since I have 2 solid buyers in that area.
Dallas is fantastic.
Mhm.
What area of Dallas are you working in?
I have not narrowed down that yet. I've been working on my script and I've been working
Okay.
on software for follow-ups. I think I'm
So-
going to
so
use
I'm gonna-
Follow Up Boss.
I'm not going to cut you off, but I'm going to help you, right?
Okay.
So here's what I would tell you. First and foremost, you want your buyers. That's your first piece of homework. Your second piece of homework, I want you to find an area in Dallas
Mhm.
that is a good area to work. Lake Highlands, right? Richardson. You need to find an area based upon those buyers' buy box, right?
Right.
And again, they will tell you. They will hey, what areas are you buying in of Dallas? And right. And they'll kind of guide you a little bit to where you need to go. Because I will tell you, there are some and I'm not going to give them to you, even though I do have a few. There are some very specific areas in Dallas that are really great places to look, especially right now.
Okay.
And so yeah, that would be your next. Once you find that area, I want you to look for 10 deals that you can turn in. 10 buyers, one area to work in, 10 deals.
Okay.
Look for cash deals in those areas. Stick to what you know about generating the prices on those.
Mhm.
And take action. Turn them in. And you'll get one, I promise. I think if you hone yourself in a little bit better at first,
Mhm.
and then once you kind of do that, you'll start to expand. And then you'll like, okay, I know this area really well. Now I can expand to another area of Dallas and another area, right? And it will expand out from there.
So what's the purpose of submitting some of these to a sub 2 if you're looking for your own buyers?
Yeah, so the reason why you want to submit it to a sub 2, again, because once you get this deal, you're going to need a purchase contract.
Okay.
Of course, you would have a joint venture contract with the sub 2. Generally speaking, it's 50-50 split. But you're going to need a purchase contract. You're then going to need a titling company that can handle a creative deal. Not all of them do it. You're going to have to know how to generate that. And you're then going to have to understand how to get that contract assigned and get the earnest money put down.
Okay.
And I would
So
just
the buyer
highly-
doesn't.
I would
The
highly
buyer, the buyer doesn't
recommend-
come up with all that.
Well, no, the buyer is going to come up with the earnest money, sure, once you get it into title, right? But you've
Right.
got a 10 to 15 day option period. And if you're not staying within that boundary, and these are the things that a sub 2 student like Juan or myself or Lance or whatever, like I already know that. It's second nature to me. I don't even need to think about it. I just do it, right? And so
Damon, are we
last
also,
thing-
is this all considered just off market for Hazel?
No, so for on-market deals, really the only thing that changes for me is, and that's being a realtor, like if I'm dealing with an agent, I will turn in a Texas 1 to 4. But with off-market deals, I just use a purchase contract or an LOI. But again, like to answer Hazel's question, and that's a great point that you brought up, Alex, to answer Hazel's question, it's if you don't understand the difference between those things, you do not want to find out in the middle of that deal.
Right.
Right. You don't want to get engaged in a deal and then be like, oh no, what do I do? Right. And you've got a whole room full of people that are willing to help you. And what I tell people who are new to it, half of something is better than nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And until if you're worried about giving up equity in the deal or whatever, I mean, the value that one of these sub 2s is bringing to you, I could easily charge you $10,000 for you to understand that process.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point. I mean, really, the way I see it is you're paying for a couple of things, right? When you connect with someone with experience, is you're paying for speed and you're paying for experience and knowledge. And so what you're doing in essence is you're getting a shortcut, right?
Yeah.
Not having to go through a lot of these problems and issues that are potentially going to arise with certain deals, what to look for, exactly what to do, what's the next step. And so as you get comfortable, then you fly off on your own, right? It's kind of like mama bird teaching a baby bird, right? How to fly, right? You go through that process of teaching, and then you're off to the races. I mean, that's exactly how I started as well. I mean, I connected with a few investors that were a lot more knowledgeable than I was. My first couple of deals were JVs, you know, and that was what I paid for. I paid for a lot of information up front, and through these JVs, honestly, you're kind of saving money, because if you're paying that to like some of these gurus, you're in essence saving a lot of money by connecting with sub-2 students and JVing on the deals. That's the way I see it. So
yeah, and I think one, you know, to add to that, if you want to look at why does that benefit the sub-2? Well, if I'm Juan and I'm teaching the bird to fly, and then you go off on your own, well, now you know how to do the cash deals, but guess what? You don't quite know how to do the creative deals yet. And when you get those deals that you don't know how to do, you're going to bring them to me. I'm going to JV on those with you until you understand them. And the bird just learns to fly a little further and a little further and a little further. Does that make sense, Hazel?
Yeah. I just wasn't sure between the buyer and the sub-2. So basically the sub-2 helps you get the process moving for the buyer. Is that correct? Or you might JV on a deal financially. So the paperwork starts with me and the sub-2, and then it goes to the buyer, and then it goes into closing with the seller.
Well, what I would tell you if I was like, and please correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but like if I'm placing an order to it, you go out and let's say you do an on-market deal. You make contact with the agent. The agent is open to hearing this offer. You then say, okay, I've got this agent or this offer, and I think that we could turn in something on it. I would reach out to a sub-2 right then, who understands about turning in that offer.
Okay.
So if you reach out to me, like I'm going to show you we're going to do that Texas 1 to 4 family contract. I'm going to fill that out. And then once they accept that offer, I'm going to teach you how to get that offer into a format to put out to buyers.
Okay.
Because I'm going to tell you right now, some of these folks, when they go and they find these deals and they plaster them across Pace's creative finance page, I'm like, what are you doing? Because the way that they lay that information out, like if I'm a buyer, I'm looking at that and I'm like, man, I don't even know what this is, right? The way that I structure them, I use MailChimp. I have a list of about 585 cash buyers that I put deals out to on a regular basis, and they run across the nation, hedge funds, Dallas, Austin, wherever, right? And so what I will do is whenever I get the deal under contract and I'm in my option period, I instantly line out an email format with 3 pictures and a clickable link. And I give a little bit of information about it, right? That way I can blast that thing out to all of my buyers. I can put it online. I can start to network that thing and get it out to the buyer that's going to buy it. But that clickable link goes to a Google Drive. And then that Google Drive, and this is just the way I do it. There are people that do it in different ways. But that Google Drive has all the pictures from the house, and it's got a CMA. I attach a CMA with 3 houses that are comparable so that the buyer can instantaneously go in and see the numbers for himself. And once you do that, the buyer understands like, okay, this is a deal I can do, right? The buyer contacts me. I want to buy this property. I get them in to inspect if that's what they want to do, the property, which most times they do. They're going to have somebody go inspect it, boots on the ground. I get them in, right, to see that. And then they decide, yes, we want to move forward and buy it. I then take that contract and put it into title. I assign it to the buyer. They put their $5,000 earnest money down. And I hand the whole package over to title and say, here it is. And then I let the deal fly. And then at the end of that, I get my fee, the buyer gets his house, and we're all down the road. In a nutshell.
That's good. Thank you.
Yeah.
think
So
that
does that
helps.
help you to kind of understand the logical
process.
the process, the progression?
Yeah.
Okay.
Very
Good.
good.
Awesome. Parker, any more questions, brother? I'm sorry, guys, this meeting ran long. Hopefully, hopefully everybody's getting value out of it. But
I don't know if you can hear me. No, I don't have any I mean, I have more questions than we have time for, but the questions that were important, or that one question I got answered. So
yeah.
I am super eager and super excited. I guess I'm just right now.
So maybe probably the first thing
Do that and tactics about doing that.
Sorry, man, I think you broke up. I thought you stopped talking. What was that last part?
No. Oh, I was just saying right now my first steps are I'm trying to like train myself on how to find deals so that I can kind of start playing this game. So I was saying I'll probably talk with you maybe later, like just if you have some time about like what some good
yeah, I
tactics are
absolutely
about
do.
going about that and some deals that I can start joint venturing on maybe.
Let me just put this in here really quick for you and for you and for everyone. Let me do this really fast here. I'm going to give you my Calendly link. So let me copy this link. I'm going to put this into the Zoom. So for anybody that's wanting to schedule time, talk to me, whatever, here is my Calendly link. You guys can feel free to go in and schedule meetings with me. I'll do like 30-minute free consultations, that type of stuff. And so, yeah, Parker, if you know, if I hear you correctly, probably best next step, sit down with me individually for 30 minutes and let's talk about how to get you rolling in the right direction.
Yeah.
And then the next thing is I'm going to try to pull you away from EXP.
Sounds good. Have at
awesome.
it.
All right, guys. Cool, man. So everybody, I hope it brought value. I promise. Keep working with me, guys. We are building this out to be something bigger, right? And so I'm going to keep structuring this. And now on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'm going to come with like something structured to maybe talk about like every week. Does that make sense? Like, you know, 10 best things to get into multifamily, 10 best things to like, whatever, right? I'm going to pick something sub to whatever it may be to talk about it. Cool.
Cool.
Awesome.
Cool.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate everybody coming, and please post it out. Let everybody know. We want to bring more people into the group and teach people about the world of creative finance.
Thank
Talk
you.
with everyone soon, man.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Have a good year.
All right.
See you guys.
Hey, I love your Happy New Year.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.